Chair recognizes the gentleman from Laurel 90. For what purpose, sir?
Mr. Speaker, I ask the clerk to report resolution number 73 and read it by title only.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Resolution 73, a resolution honoring the birthday of President Ronald Reagan. Representative Lewis.
Gentleman from Laurel.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in honor of a special occasion. Today, February 6th, marks the 108th anniversary of the birth of President Ronald Wilson Reagan, our 40th Commander-in-Chief and a leader in the modern conservative movement. Now, Mr. Speaker, some in this body may wonder why it is that I'm wishing to publicly commemorate President Reagan. Some of the more senior members of this body may have guessed that I, being born in 1986, do not really remember President Reagan's time in office. And well, that's true. You know, at the time I was more interested in Legos than NATO, but Mr. Speaker, I thank my parents and good educators of Eastern Kentucky for instilling me the ability to read and a thirst for history. Over the years, having read about the 1980s and talking with those who have experienced much more vividly than I, know that President Reagan was a breath of fresh air for our country. The years leading up to President Reagan's terms in office were of great unrest for our nation. Inflation was astronomical. The Cold War was intensifying. Americans were being exposed to radical Islam for the first time, culminating with the Iran hostage situation. Oil embargoes led to economic uncertainty, and we had a president resign for the first time in our history. Then came Ronald Reagan. The great communicator, as he was known, reached out to the American people. He spoke with a voice that simultaneously reassured our citizens and commanded respect throughout the world. His economic agenda helped stabilize inflation, while free market policies enabled the economy to grow at unprecedented rates. Investments in defense, both traditional and experimental, led to the breakup of the Soviet Union, ushering in an era of peace. And his domestic policies helped our country find its footing once again and regain the self-confidence that has always made America thrive. Mr. Speaker, Ronald Reagan was without a doubt one of the greatest Americans and helped shape the world in which we find ourselves today. Without his leadership in such a time of need, I shudder to think what the world might be like. Thanks to his leadership, future generations have been able and will continue to thrive and prosper in a world that has become more stable due to his policies. It is for that reason I believe it's fitting and proper that we honor him on this House floor. And Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of resolution number 73 and ask the board be open for co-sponsorship.
Without objection, gentlemen, the resolution is adopted. Mr. Clerk, please open the board for those members wishing to indicate their co-sponsorship.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution is adopted. Chair